Hey, everybody, and welcome to this week's episode of the DVC Show. I am your host, Paul Krieger, joined this week by my lovely wife, Amy Krieger.
Hello.
We've got John Sakari in the house, aka Big Fat Panda. Jeff Haslam's joining us from Davenport, Florida. He announced that earlier.
Hey, everybody.
And we've got Derek DeBoer coming to you from a new backdrop so that he doesn't look like a person in a dark basement this week.
Like I was on like Game of Thrones, I think, on the last week's episode. Just candles, you could barely see my face. So yes, I came to the office. This show.
And look at that lamp.
Look at that lamp.
But
too.
even more disturbing is what's below the lamp.
Everybody remembers from a few shows ago. There it is. I brought it with me. It's like that little Brady tiki thing that follows you around. Horrible, but yeah.
The fact that you traveled with it is just amazing.
Like,
I mean, that
put
just
it in the car. Yeah,
that shows real dedication to the show and everything. But yeah, lighting's not going to be the issue this week though with Derek. He's having some audio issues, so if he seems a little delayed, it's not him. But
everything is fine. I hear everybody, fine.
Well, thank you guys for joining us this week. As always, we're here for another fun week of the DVC show, and we're going to be talking about all of the Disney parks news that has really dropped over the past couple weeks and how it's going to impact us as DVC members as we move forward into 2024. A lot of this is some stuff that was surprising, some stuff that people have wanted, so that's hopefully going to be helpful. But we'll dive right into it and go through all of the details. First and foremost, though, as always, if you love this content that we have here on DVC Fan and the DVC Show, please show some love for the world of DVC resale market, where if you're looking to buy or sell a Disney Vacation Club contract, they can help with that. Monera Financial can help with financing that DVC resale contract purchase, and the DVC rental store, where you can try before you buy, rent out some points, or rent or swap your own points. You can even swap your own points for like a Disney cruise, a Universal vacation, or something like that. So please show some love for our sponsors over at the world of DVC. But first and foremost, diving into the news this week, we've got some park hopping changes coming to Walt Disney World. So out here on the East Coast, a lot of changes coming in terms of how you can park hop. And I think the good news is, at least for some people, is that you can park hop at any point of the day coming in early January. So I'm excited by that. I think it's going to kind of take us back to the good old days of Disney vacations. I know that when we traveled from Florida all the time, or when we traveled from Florida, when we traveled from West Virginia all of the time, park hopping was like part of our planning.
Yeah, and to have to wait until 2 p.m., that was really kind of a bummer for a lot of people, especially a lot of families, and especially if you have limited time, limited days in the park. If you're only doing 2 park days, it's a really short trip. You want to try to make it and do a lot of things. The fact that you had to wait until 2 p.m. made that very challenging. And I know we wanted to do a couple of ride challenges and things, and we're like, how can you even do that when you have to wait till 2 to park hop? So excited about that.
Jeff, I know you were kind of an out of towner for a while there as well. And how did this sort of impact your travel planning?
Oh man, I hated it. I don't know. I don't even know why they picked 2:00. It just seemed like such a random hour of the day. Like it's right in the middle of lunch. It's right when you're supposed. I don't know. I hated everything about it. I'm so excited that it's going to be, some semblance of normal again. I don't know. I can't wait. I also want to do the ride challenges. So this will help check that box.
Yep.
Yeah, let's do it.
Pick a day. We'll be there. We'll bring Panda along, and we'll get Derek out of his dungeon and have him come and join us as well.
I'm not in the dungeon anymore. Look how light I am.
You're so proud of it too, and that's what I love. Panda, what are your thoughts on the park hopping changes?
I want to be excited, but don't we, as an annual pass holder, for me, I still need a reservation, and I still have to go into the first park then I can hop whenever I want, which makes no sense to me. If I can park hop whenever I want, then why do I need the reservation? Obviously, you don't care what park I'm going to. So I'm a
Yeah.
little confused. I feel like
Yeah.
they could have made it even better, but I'm happy I can do it. I still just don't get I need them to make it make sense to me, please.
Yeah, so you're absolutely right. So for annual pass holders, you still have to have a reservation every day until 2:00. That's still what the rule is. And that's continuing to stay until we hear otherwise. And the only exception is that after 2 p.m. or weekends at Magic Kingdom, I'm sorry, I said that backwards. Weekends at Magic Kingdom and before 2 p.m. every day is when you have to have a park pass. And then after 2 p.m. on weekdays, you don't, right?
No.
I'm way
See,
out of...
okay, we live and breathe this, and we still have to think about. Could you imagine?
It's
just a little,
confusing, yeah.
a little complicated.
Right.
Yeah, it's super complicated. So the general understanding is that once park hopping comes back, it's going to be January 9th, 2024. At that point in time, if you have a date-based ticket, so anyone that's buying a single ticket or like a 3-day park hopper, 4-day park hopper, something like that, you don't have to worry about park passes. You don't have to worry about park hopping rules, any of that kind of stuff. You are good to go. We'll come back to that word. For annual pass holders, as of that point in time, you will still, on most days, need a park pass reservation. And if you do have a park pass reservation, you're at least going to have to go into that park on that day. Now, you can park hop immediately,
Mm-hmm.
but you at least have to go into that park first and then come back out and go wherever you're headed, which
I'm so with Panda too. It's like, okay, but remember on Thursdays, if your kids are 5 foot or less, you can go after 3 p.m. Then 3:45, guess 6 foot and taller can get it. Way too
I
complicated.
know.
Just park. Come on,
I feel
it's
like
not-
such an amateur too. So when we went to Moonlight Magic for Hollywood Studios,
this was a great.
we went after 2 p.m., it was a weekday after 2 p.m. So we should not have needed a park pass. Correct? Right? We've looked it all up.
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct.
And we got denied. Our thing turned whatever the color is, the walk of shame, and we had to go to the side and make a park pass before they let us in.
And what was even better is that they stood there, and we were talking to the cast member as we were doing it. The cast member was like, "It's after 2:00. That's weird, and you're an annual pass holder. That's weird." But no, like, oh, go ahead and go. No, the computer said that you don't have a park pass. Even if it's right or wrong, you have to stand here and I have to watch you make your park pass.
I think they probably need the numbers and to know who's in the park. So until it successfully lets us into the park, you know what I mean? So I get that. But the system didn't work right.
That sounded like a glitch.
Yeah.
I don't know.
So I don't even know anymore.
And you know what's interesting about all of this is they say that they've done this to better manage staffing levels at the parks. And I tie this also to sort of the downfall of the Magic Band, because Magic Bands and tracking people's movement throughout the parks, that used to give them a very good gauge of what was going on within the theme parks, what kind of staffing levels they would need on certain days. It kind of helped them throughout that process. And now they've kind of phased out. There's still Magic Bands and you still tap in with Magic Bands, but you got to pay for them. So not as many people are using them. So I feel like it's like a double-edged sword. It's they've taken away all of these levers that used to give them, crowd thoughts and gotten rid of it. It's just it puts us in a very, very weird place.
They
Well,
obviously
on top
knew
of that,
you
too,
guys were coming. The Kriegers are on their way.
Everything's done by the phone now too. I mean, the Magic Bands, we used to get them for free, so everybody was using them. And then we started to have, getting the fun character ones, and they were cheap and fun to collect. And now they're like $60 for a Magic Band, where I used to have like 30 of them because I got to match my outfit. I got to match whatever park I'm going to that day. Now I have one and I don't even charge it. So
Yep. I forget. I haven't brought one for a long time. I keep forgetting. And so for DVC members, I do think a lot of DVC members, especially those that travel, like bringing your Magic Bands, that's still a big thing. If you're local, you will start to forget to bring it. But for
You-
DVC
you will
members,
start to forget your birthday.
I never remember. But Paul does have his usually. But that's the other thing. Sometimes your watch works great. Sometimes it doesn't. Sometimes your watch lets you park. Sometimes it doesn't. So hopefully they can tighten that up in the
Yeah.
next year or so.
Now, if we haven't completely confused you on annual passes and what to do with park hopping, we're going to add a new layer to it just to make it even more complex. So they're going to also introduce, beginning in January, what they call good to go days, which are days in which you don't need a park pass. So this is the reasoning that I'm walking through in my head. So to determine whether or not my day is good to go, I have to go in the app and try to make the park pass reservation, only to find out that I now am good to go and I don't need it for that day. So I had to go through the motion of attempting to do it. Like, am I following that thought process right? Like,
Yeah, but before you had to do it before you found out you didn't have to do it.
Exactly.
That's Disney at its finest.
I'm just
Good to go days are only at certain parks on certain days.
certain
right?
parks,
Just
certain
determine-
days, but then you'd be good to
Yeah.
go to park hop, I assume, if you went into the park that day.
So if I
it's-
make a park reservation for Magic Kingdom and it's a good to go day at Epcot, can I show up to Epcot or do I have to go to Magic Kingdom because that's where my park pass is?
I'm just gonna say yes. I have no idea whether or not it's right. Or not,
And my
but-
favorite thing about this is, out of the 5 of us, Derek's going to be the one calling the rest of us, going, "Can I go to the park today?" Because he never knows.
Yeah.
It's so true.
Derek's just gonna show up at parks. Is today
I'll
good?
be like, I'm at Islands of
Alexa.
Adventure. They won't let me in. They said I'm not good to go.
He's going to be standing outside the gate going, "Let me in, let me in."
I love it when Derek's in Epcot too, and he's like, "What do I do for the Guardians queue again?" It's
Yes,
was it-
Paul, every single time. I've done it like 10 times. I'm like, so Paul, if I want to go in the morning, what do I do? Do I wait? Do I have to be in the park? Can I do it from home? And he's like, oh my God, it's like a tough one.
Derek, you have to be inside Space 220 to make that reservation.
yes, you do
In the elevator.
Yeah. So park hopping changes was I guess for a lot of people exciting news last week. For us, we've now just made it extremely confusing.
You can
so
park hop
you can-
anytime.
You can park hop. Yay.
Unless you have an annual pass and you have a park pass, you need to go to that park first.
Yeah. So there's that. I'm completely thrown off our list of news
Okay,
now.
so
Just
what
after
if
that.
I make a reservation for the future, but then it becomes a good to go day? Do I then need
No.
to go to that park first?
See, now if you do that and you show up at the park gate, they're going to make you stand there and cancel the reservation because you were good to go. So why you made that park pass reservation?
Why did you do? Yeah. Now I'm confusing them.
Yeah. And that's the thing. I think that we are sitting here becoming more and more confused by talking through this. You know, the
Yes.
cast members are going to be equally as confused in what's
Yep.
going on and what days are good to go and what their computer's telling them versus what the person at the gate's telling them. It's just there's going to be a lot of uncomfortable conversations that are going to occur and stem from all this.
Yeah, I miss being able to just walk into whatever park I decide to go into at whatever time. I do miss that. I think
Amy Krieger's here.
I think we're heading towards that, though. We are. It's slowly getting there. So
Yep. Well, speaking of
Yeah,
annual,
because everybody misses that feeling when you can park hop. Is that awesome feeling? Like, I don't know if I'm going to do it, but you know what I'd love to do? Let's get something to eat for breakfast in Epcot. Then let's walk through Future World. Then let's jump on the monorail. Let's have lunch at the Magic Kingdom. Then we'll head over and head to the studios and maybe get a drink at the Baseline Tapa. You know what I mean? It's that feeling like I can go anywhere that I want to go. But now I have to wait to determine if I'm, technically and physically good to go. So
Yeah.
then I have to wait for that. So,
technically and physically.
And physically.
and that was a big no on both of those for me. Wah.
Well, if park passes weren't confusing enough and made annual pass holders super happy last week, this next news is going to make them even happier. Annual pass pricing went up at Walt Disney World last week. So across the board, I would say anywhere from about a $25 to a $50 increase for all annual pass types and renewals occurred at Walt Disney World. This is something that some people were complaining about and shocked about, but I honestly, it's just par for the course anymore. I feel like with annual passes, it's once a year or twice a year we see some sort of increase.
Yeah. And
you-
honestly, like, it's a double-edged sword.
Do you remember that one show we did where we talked about how awesome it was that the annual pass prices went down? No, I don't remember that show.
I was like, wait, what?
I was like,
That happened?
Never.
Hey,
It's
one
like,
time
it's
use
par for the
points.
course.
One
Par for
time
the
use
course.
points did go down in price. We've never seen anything go down in like that. Well, except for Grand Floridian when it reopened the Big Pine Key. That
Right.
those direct prices did go down. But the thing is with the annual pass, first of all, if you're DVC and you have direct and you qualify for the Sorcerer's Pass, or you're a Florida resident, then we actually got the least of the increases. It's only a $25 increase for the renewal and $30 for a new Sorcerer's Pass. So I think as members, most of us got sort of the best worst case scenario there. But you know, my other thing is I have this where I go back and forth and I'm like, well, you know, obviously a price increase affects us and we have to work that into our budget and everything that goes up in price, we have to work into our budget. But at the same time, the parks are crowded and they're getting more crowded now for the holidays again. And our friends were at Epcot yesterday, and Test Track and Frozen, those lightning lanes were gone by 11 a.m. So, and part of the ways that Disney tries to maintain or control those crowds is through price increases. So, you know, it can be good and it can be bad, and I understand both sides.
Yeah, there's a good and a bad to everything. This extra $30 or something probably pays so that someone can explain to us whether or not we should be park hopping that day or not. Jeff, Panda, will this change your mind on annual passes or anything like that? I think that this is the $1 million question. Most people complain about it, but it's not going to really change if we buy it.
Yeah, and not being a local, it won't. Like, now that I'm down here, I'm getting well over my money's worth for my annual pass. Now, if I was still in Utah, I don't know that I mean, $25 probably not, but I can see how it would affect some people if they're only still coming once, even twice a year for shorter trips. Then it's at some point it's going to be cost prohibitive for them to keep going, I think.
Yeah.
I mean, if for somebody like me who's a Disney nut, I don't like the increases, but I'm like, it's not. It matters on where Disney is in your priority of life, and somebody crazy like me puts it a little bit higher than it should be. So yeah, no, I'm not. I'm going to obviously spend the money and still get there.
Yeah, I think the big thing, we sat here probably about a year ago and debated about, you know, direct versus resale when it comes to Disney Vacation Club, and that is always going to be the case. And the big benefit of buying direct is obviously those direct benefits. As you spoke to, the Sorcerer Pass is that key benefit that a lot of people have wanted a direct contract for over the years. And Disney also has a lot of other perks direct, but these then raise the question again and again. And Derek, I know you have these conversations every day. You know, what is the benefit of direct versus resale? And the more that this creeps up, is that the same? Now, we did see a ticketing price, or we've not seen a ticketing price increase. We expect a ticketing price increase to be coming pretty soon. And so I would say in the short term, this points towards people that are going to potentially go with tickets versus getting an annual pass. And potentially go resale versus going direct. Derek, have you had any conversations like that in the past week or so since this news dropped? Or
a ton. And I think it's funny because it's like in true Disney fashion, right? They like throw out the park hopping is back, and that gets all the fireworks and the confetti and hoo-ha. And then they slowly creeped it in and said, oh yeah, by the way, parking's going up. We're raising the price of annual passes and this, and this. So it's like, you know, they want all the focus to be on the park hopping is back and everything else. And of course, the ticket prices are going up. And again, what we tell people all the time is that, listen, it's a temporary perk. I mean, to buy direct from Disney the ability to buy those annual passes is a temporary perk. That last page of the contract that you sign when you buy direct from Disney says we can remove any and all perks anytime we want, and you can't do anything about it. So sign by Mickey and date by the palm trees and be happy with your vacation club points. That's it. So temporarily to be able to do that, sure, it's great for folks, and again, I think at the end of the day, like everybody said too, it's $20 here, $20 there. I mean, it's it's not a huge increase, but for no one is any state across the country sitting there saying we were going to go to Disney, but the so-and-so tickets went up by $20, so now our family vacation's off, we're not going. Kids, go to your room and cry because we're not going to Disney. No one's going to not do that, but yeah, it's just one of those classic things that you can always expect. Death and taxes and the price of Disney tickets increasing every single year. Always going to happen. Always.
Yeah.
Just getting back real quick. Just getting back real quick
sorry.
to annual passes. If you look at like entertainment in general, like a movie theater, two people at a movie theater to watch a movie for an hour and a half can get to be $30, $40, maybe even more if you buy something there. The value of an annual pass and the amount of entertainment you get for it is ridiculously good. So if you can figure it out that way, yes, I don't like the price increases, but compared to other entertainment things, it's still a good.
Yeah, I know our friends Jeff and Dan, they've got a spreadsheet and they literally track every time they step foot into the parks and begin to deduct from the total that they paid based off of whatever the daily ticket rate of that day is.
Yeah, I think for most DVC members, you have to decide. Well, first of all, some DVC members are going to have no choice but to buy the Incredipass, depending on if they have, direct versus resale, or even if they have dates that they need that are in the blockout windows of the other passes. Right. So a lot of people might have to go for those more expensive Incredipasses. And so you just have to take the price of that pass and the price of the tickets and decide, I'm going to go this many times in a year. This is how much tickets cost. This is how much an annual pass costs. Does this make sense for me? Because it doesn't always make sense for every DVC member. I talked to someone on the phone for a long time that was talking through Monera that was just asking general questions, and I helped her and we looked and we did the math, and it didn't make sense for them to buy annual passes. The tickets did. And then we have UK members that do get some kind of a really decent ticket deal. There's longer, like 10-day ticket deals through the UK sites, and those sometimes are better for those guests and their travel needs. They usually come once a year for 2 weeks or so, and that works better for them than an annual pass. So it's just going to depend on your situation, how many times you're coming, but definitely always do the math, because you never know if it's going to benefit you or not.
Panda, I'll throw this one out there to you. In terms of the direction of Disney right now, we obviously know that they're kind of under the microscope when it comes to streaming, when it comes to what's going on in the theaters and everything like that. But their attention, their focus is kind of turning to the parks a little bit. And do you think that some of this is just a sign of the future of just kind of nickel and diming the parks and getting the most out of it that they can?
I thought the same thing. I know what you're thinking. And I thought, yeah, they're using the parks to save a couple of the other facets of the industry. I don't know how long the parks are going to, they're crowded, so I guess the parks can withstand it. And it might be a solution for them to get some quick cash and then solve the other issues they have, and then the parks will come back. It's the reason why I was surprised that we had a price increase is when Bob Iger himself said we were a little aggressive with pricing. I don't remember if he specified where, but that's why I thought maybe for like a year or two we wouldn't see any increases. Mm-hmm. And I was surprised with this.
Yeah,
I agree with you.
Go, Jeff.
I thought the same thing. I was thinking that maybe we'd get a reprieve even for just a year. But to answer your question about, how long is this sustainable, Panda? I think it's going to be sustainable until Epic Universe opens up the road, because Disney World fans especially have been clamoring for new stuff for a long time. We've gone over 20 years now without a new park, where everybody else is just investing really heavily on their theme parks, and Disney knows they don't have to, because here we go, keep coming, jack up the prices, we're still coming back. And I think that's going to be a turning point for them, and I think they're behind the curve. And I was talking this with a friend the other day. Universal treats their annual pass holders so much better than Disney does, especially if you're paying for their top tier. You get front of the line access. You get free preferred parking or valet parking if it's available. You get a ticket to their Halloween party. And it's just all these different things, and it's not a Universal show, but my point is Disney has lost track of kind of where they're at with their guests.
Completely agree. I do think it's going to solve itself because it has to. But I also think as DVC people, we're pretty good with, we can go get a DVC and, Uber or drive to a Universal park too. So it's kind of a win-win for us too, even when Epic opens, I think.
Yeah. Yep.
But I do want Disney to get a kick in the pants to start moving.
They almost need it to a degree. They kind of just they need that at this moment, because even coming out of came out of the Destination D23 event, and again it was a lot of, well, this might happen, I don't know, this might happen.
I just wonder if that's a whole political DeSantis Florida thing too, where they don't want to say, and maybe there are these great plans that we don't know about that are just waiting to be announced.
Possible.
They keep talking about that $16 billion investment.
Yeah.
Well, and we'll get to that here in a minute or two when we jump over to the West Coast. But I'm kind of wondering if more of this is being looked at over there until we do figure out this whole DeSantis mess and the politics of Florida down here at the moment, and kind of solve the issues that have been going on. Because I think that they're going to kind of be hesitant to potentially invest down here until they look at the future of what are the parks going to look like, what is that whole environment going to be. So
can we all agree that it seems like the whole DeSantis Disney chatter has gone down, like both sides are now done and want to just solve it? That's what it feels like.
I have to imagine there's a lot of conversations going on behind some closed doors right now, just to say, this isn't good for us, this isn't good for you, and how do we make this go away? And someone will write a check, probably Disney, and it'll all disappear one day. The whole thing will be dismissed. I think I just read today actually that there was some extension to one of the motions to dismiss on behalf of Florida and DeSantis, and so there was an extension that Disney asked for. So did they ask for that because there's conversations going on behind the scenes?
I bet you.
Yeah, I have to imagine. Another thing that's been going on that is, I think, just notable when it comes to Disney parks and the future of Disney Vacation Club and everything is direct booking incentives and a lot of the offers that are occurring as we head into early 2024. And I think the most notable is the one that's actually going to launch in November, which is people that are looking to book a vacation for springtime in 2024. This is going to give children's ages 3 through 9 half off theme park tickets and dining plans, which that's a considerable savings when you think we've talked about ticket prices today. We have to assume ticket prices are going to go up eventually, just like annual passes went up. But I think this is a lever that people are going to be looking at, especially when it comes to the rental market.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so it's just another one of those things to kind of monitor. And also when it comes to buying Disney Vacation Club, because, Derek, you can talk to it better than I do. When people are comparing Disney Vacation Club, whether or not it's worthwhile, it's whether or not it's more affordable for me versus my every few year Disney vacation.
Right. And it's always the folks too, and I don't blame them. They're like, oh, we looked at Disney Vacation Club, but you know what? We always do the free dining. So we're waiting for that trip, and that's what we always do. And you don't get free dining when you're a Disney Vacation Club member. Or the other folks go, we wait for the promotion where the hotels are, 30 to 40% off. So we do that promotion instead. And I always ask those folks, and I'm like, listen, but have you ever gotten the promotion where there's free dining and 30 to 40% off your hotel? They're like, no, that sounds fantastic. When does that come out? And I'm like, never, because it will never happen, because that's what they do. Disney literally, for the free dining, and I explained this to folks, because again, I was at Disney for a long, long time. They charge you the most they can for that room to offset the cost of the free dining. And the same thing with the hotel off that rack rate, 30 to 40% off the rack rate plus 12.5% tax. So you pay it, you're just robbing Peter to pay Paul. So that's kind of what it comes out to be whenever you see these promotions with all the bells and whistles, that at the end of the day, you guys know, because you guys are Vacation Club members. I mean, the best deal, hands down, bar none, is if you're a Disney Vacation Club member staying at a Disney Vacation Club resort using your Disney Vacation Club points. That is the best deal you will ever get. More than, because again, 30 to 40% off your room, say 10 years ago. If they did that same promotion now, that room is not the same cost that it was 10 years ago, right? So that room that maybe was $200 a night is now $350 a night, and down the road it's going to be $450. And so 30% off expensive is still expensive. So that's the whole point, is like that's why people join Disney Vacation Club, is because again, you're staying in the deluxe resorts for way less money than what you could even pay for a hotel off of iDrive for. So yeah, always the bells and whistles always bring people in, but at the end of the day, if you do your research, just join Disney Vacation Club. Seriously.
Even when you get free dining, there's no such thing as free dining.
Exactly. There's no free dining.
It's all optics and how they make it look and how they present it. But yeah, definitely
I used to see when I was a travel agent, I used to see the split that did, like, it would be like you can book the Polynesian for this price and get the free dining, and you would see that this money went to dining, this money went to the hotel, so there was no free dining. And then there was the 30-40% off, which was much better unless you were going to spend $200 a day on food, and it was just like Derek said, it's all accounted for. It's not technically free dining.
Mm-hmm.
But it feels good. It's usually a psychological thing.
It does feel good.
Yeah.
I completely understand it. If it feels inclusive, all inclusive.
Yeah.
Well, on top of that too, I mean, let's be honest. We're talking about ticket prices going up, and they will. Disneyland's just did, right? We got that a couple of weeks ago. Disneyland has never done free dining, as far as I remember, and I've been going for 30 years. So obviously it's a drive to get people out to Florida, but to that end, even this new deal, as good as it looks like on paper, half off a kid's dining plan really isn't that much, and it's a no-brainer for Disney because kids don't eat that much. I think I read one time that their kids meal markup is their most profitable when it comes to Disney because they're tiny portions that cost a fortune, and this just makes it easy for them to still make money by including 50% off dining. I kind of thought it was like a cheap shot, if I'm being honest. I didn't see the value.
Kids dining is only like $11, so half off.
Yeah, it's nothing.
$5. You're saving $5 or $6. I don't know.
It's all optics. It's how do we fill the rooms? And I think that's the biggest problem Disney's having right now is how do we fill the rooms? Derek, you mentioned before, the best value is always becoming a Disney Vacation Club member. I would argue that the second best value is renting DVC points. And the thing about renting DVC points that's a little bit tricky, and I work for a DVC rental store, so I see this every day, is that we do have to be mindful of these deals and these discounts because there is a perceived value of renting DVC points. It still has to be significantly less than if you were going to book directly through Disney. And so what we've seen over the course of the past year is Disney getting more aggressive with some of their deals, some of their discounts, and that has brought down the rate at which guests can rent DVC points for, because again, there has to be that perceived value. And in turn, when that goes down, the value of the points for members looking to rent their points goes down a little bit as well. So it's a very flexible, variable market, but the eyes are always at Disney. What is Disney doing? What kind of levers are they pulling to make the moves that they have to move to fill those rooms? And so I don't think this is the first, it's obviously not the first deal that we've seen for 2024, nor do I think it'll be the last.
No, yeah, definitely. They always have come out in stages, but I feel like you always have a word of the day, and today must be lever. Just want to throw that out there.
For anyone,
I've heard that word like 5 times now.
You know what phrase I miss, and I'll wait to see if it comes organically.
Nope,
but
not going to do it. Nope, not going to do it.
I know exactly. Does it start with an H?
Nope, not going to happen today. We're not going to go there. We're not going to go back there.
Nothing's going to harken back.
Never say that word again.
I love it. You're like, that harkens back to.
Well, if anyone's been playing the home game, please count the number of lever times I say lever in this show and put it in the comments.
I don't even have that lever.
Well,
and,
Jeff,
and hey, Jeff, it looks like Disney just came out with half off your bar tab promotion.
That's an easy one.
For Jeff, that's a couple of $1,000 saving.
Right.
What
That's
am I, the
no
only
big
lush
deal.
in the
Why do
room
we
here?
call
I
out
have
Jeff?
seen you guys all drink as much as I have.
I'm sad about Tables in Wonderland because it was the only discount on
alcohol.
alcohol. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
Tables
and
in Wonderland.
Why
There's
we're still
one.
talking about this? Like, everybody thinks that dining is the best deal. Free dining, free dining. When are they going to throw in Genie Plus for deluxe resorts? Like, basically like Universal does. There's your deal.
Oh, yeah.
You
That
know,
would be
like, I
nice.
just don't understand why they're not still giving free lightning lanes to on-property people. That just seems so easy. But I'm not in charge of the world yet. So.
Universal, I was surprised to get free parking, but when I went to Halloween Horror Nights yesterday, but I went early, they gave me free Prime parking because of my annual. And I was like,
Yeah.
wow,
Yeah.
that is it feels different
That's
than
always
Disney.
been
It's
that
just a
way.
feel.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's a special environment, the Universal Pass holder community. I think we're all Universal Pass holders, I'm pretty sure. So Jeff, you went there already, but jump into the West Coast. There has been some stuff that's gone on over there as well that we just wanted to quickly mention before we wrap up today. Disneyland ticket prices and annual passes also increased out there. So the ticket price was the one for me that I just couldn't stomach. The annual passes are kind of comical because I don't think annual passes are actually available right now at Disneyland. So it's like, hey, we're raising the prices, but you can't buy them. But for tickets, we just went, and it just
Disneyland tickets are expensive.
maybe it's just I haven't paid ticket prices for so long, but it's just it is steep out in Disneyland for one day.
It was still crowded though, right?
It was a pretty crowded day. The one thing I would say about Disneyland that's just a little bit different is that the Genie Plus product works a lot better out there. You're gonna
I think,
maximize your
yeah,
day
I think
better.
the difference there is that less people are purchasing Genie Plus and using it because the majority of the base of people in the parks are locals, and so we don't purchase Genie Plus at Disney World unless we're taking family and we want them to be able to do everything possible. Otherwise, most of the times we go, we don't. And so I don't think that locals buy it very much because you can get on everything in a day almost, depending on it works way different. Whereas at Disney World, you're lucky to get maybe one or two really good attractions through a day using Genie Plus.
Yeah. And Panda, I'll take us back to I almost did it. I'll take us back to a comment that you made earlier about the investment that Disney's going to be having that they've announced essentially. The other thing going on at Disneyland right now is a lot of things related to new development at Downtown Disney. So a lot of new restaurants coming to Downtown Disney at Disneyland on the West Coast, but also the Disneyland Forward project, which we are hearing more and more about. And so I have to ask myself, and I'll ask you as well, do you think Disney is looking at that investment and spending most of that money out in California as compared to here? Because what they're looking to do out there is pretty crazy.
They were really clear in saying that this $16 billion was Florida investment. So unless they can, it's their money, they can do whatever they want with it. They can change it. But I have a feeling that we need it in order to maintain your guests and your flow and knowing that Epic Universe is coming. They need it. I think.
I agree.
Yeah, I would definitely say
I would hope that money's earmarked for Florida and not quickly changed over. But I hear what you're saying.
Yeah, it's for me, it's just very odd, and I guess maybe I'm still in the Disneyland bubble because we just came back from the grand opening of Disneyland Hotel, DVC, and just it's always something special when we're out there, but either it's hitting my news feed more because the algorithm shifted while I was on the West Coast or something. But I just feel like we're hearing more and more about Disneyland Forward. We're hearing more and more about their thoughts for having a third park out there in some capacity. The additional hotels that will be needed as part of that. There's a lot of studies going on in Anaheim right now, and it's either just getting louder, or maybe it's cumulative of all of these thoughts that we've kind of said. There's investment being made in parks because that's where they're seeing the most return for their money. Derek's down there nodding his head. He's like, "Yep, that's where the money is."
It makes me crazy. I love Disney Vacation Club, obviously more than probably anybody in the world. I love it. but enough. We need another park in Florida. We need another park in Florida. We have the beautiful Polynesian, Weston that's coming right next to the Polynesian. We have that, of course, the new cabins that are coming out there. Now there's talk about Reflections possibly coming back again. We need parks to put these people. We don't need more people. We don't need more DVC members split out amongst those 4 parks. We need another park. So just announce another park is all I'm asking. That's it.
Well, and to that point, and even less so, I mean, I'm anybody that knows me is I'm an advocate for new parks all the time, and Disney's got the place to put them. But how about we have the parks that aren't holding their weight compared to Magic Kingdom? Let's get them up to speed as well. I mean, I've never spent a full day at Animal Kingdom. I have a hard time spending a whole day at Hollywood Studios because there's just not enough to do. And we took the grandkids last night to Mickey's Not So Scary, and that was a full day, and it was a fun day because we got to ride 20 attractions in the 8 or 10 hours that we were there. Mm-hmm. Where if we would have gone to Animal Kingdom, 4 and some animals, like, I don't know. I don't understand why they're so far behind. Everything they've built with the exception of Tron, everything they've built in the last 10 years has just replaced something that's already been there. Star Wars replaced the cool car show, and Toy Story did the whatever that thing was, the backlot tour. There's been no expansion. It's all been replacement.
Well, and now we've got talks of, you just said it, Magic Kingdom is already basically a full day park. It's already taking up most of your day. Now we're going to expand it even further, rather than adding on to these other parks that need more people to be spending more time and more days at those parks. We're just going to make Magic Kingdom bigger and bigger, and Magic Kingdom is going to become a 2-day park, and the rest of these are going to become a quarter-day park by the end of it all.
Yeah. And I know it's been beaten to death, but it's amazing when we talk about Epic Universe and the fact that during the same time frame that we got Tron and we have a walk-through attraction with Moana. I mean, truly, that's it. That's it. And they're literally building with how many hotels? 3 or 4 huge hotels. An entire theme park is going to be opening, and we're going to be excited to play with some water that makes like sounds when you put your hand over it. And it's crazy to me. Like, Disney does this better than anybody else. And come on, step up your game. It just makes me nuts.
That makes you nuts, and the echo of this show makes you nuts.
Okay, I just want to add something that's a little like back on the Disneyland Forward topic. I do think Disneyland Forward is going to bring a lot of value to DVC members that own out in the West Coast. And even though, the Disneyland Tower, is a very beautiful property. We stayed there. We decided that buying points there was not for us. We just, don't love the taxes, don't love the lack of balconies or random how you might get a bathtub or not. But I'm so glad that we own out at Grand Cal. I'm really excited for the expansion and to see what happens at Disneyland. And now is not a bad time if you are thinking about getting points and you do like Disneyland Tower and the taxes don't bother you, then it might be a good time, because I think that those values are going to increase once there are even more offerings out west.
Yep. We're going to get more and more development out there, and as with anything, prices are going to go up and up. Well, I think that covers most of the news that has been announced recently when it comes to Disney parks. As always, a little bit of a different show, basically talking about parks news, but I think it's all relevant to all of us as Disney Vacation Club members, because what they're doing down here both impacts the value of our properties that we have bought into, and also affects how we are going to vacation at these places that we love time and time again. So thank you guys all for joining us this week and everything. Derek, thank you for putting up with the well, you've got 2 more shows that we've got to film and put up with. So I'm not gonna say this is over with yet for you, but we hope you, the viewers and listeners out there, enjoyed it, and we will see you guys next week.